Hey everybody, welcome back to Old World Legends, where we focus on growing the community. I'm your host Mike, and with me as always is Evan.
Knight's Panther Evan today, I think.
That's right. You is
I
that a
have the
promotion or a demotion?
yeah. This
Oh,
is
look
the
at
there's the
that.
John Blanche art behind me.
It's beautiful art. A very talented artist. Yeah, he's made some great stuff over the years. But today, what we're going to be diving into today is we are very excited to walk you through some of our upcoming our horrors of the old world event. This is our second year running our Halloween themed event, and this year, as we mentioned on one of the previous videos, this is our first time we're running it as a doubles event.
Mhm.
So to kind of give you a high level structure, what we're doing, we don't know how many other communities out there have been running doubles events already. Maybe there's already been a bunch of them, but this is our first one. We're very excited about it, and we have 32 players, so 16 teams have registered. That's exciting to have that many people show up. People are very excited about this. We chose to go with a 3,000 points limit for 1,500 per player. You each have to construct your own team. We did decide that you could not double up on the same army faction. So if you couldn't do two Cathay, right, in the same list as an example. And we also decided for the sake of this is new, we didn't want to create additional barriers. We are not doing you can only team up with a faction that technically your faction is allied with according to the rule book. So it is any two pairings that you and your friend have, because most players have only one army, and we didn't want that to be a reason why somebody didn't show up. So beyond that, there's not too many other restrictions. I don't really want to focus on that, because today what we want to focus about is the lists are in, they're locked in for the 16 teams. Very exciting. We want to walk you through a spectrum of them, ones that we're really excited about, that are interesting combos, some really tough combos in here as well. We want to go through and just thought it'd be really cool and make some predictions who we think will perform well at this event. And then afterwards, after the event, weekend, we'll let you know what happened.
All right, so let's start off. So Leo is somebody who's been playing Skaven a lot in our local community, but has recently started painting up some Wars of Chaos. He kind of takes his armies slow and does a lot of really nice painting on them when he gets to them. But
But let's talk about this team. And I have a
yeah,
team name, so it's Leo and David, and they are Flanktoberfest, an excellent team
Flanktoberfest.
name. Flanktoberfest. And Leo has chosen Warriors of Chaos. We're going to go through first, and David has his Royal Clan Dwarves. So Chaos and Dwarves, very exciting. All right, so let's dive into what Leo had.
Yeah, so first we have I mean, what I'm already seeing here is we have a sorcerer lord on a steed who is somehow 345 points. Wow, that's a lot. And he also has a
Mm-hmm.
chaos lord on a steed. So these are going in a big knight unit, I imagine. Probably the same one. So the sorcerer lord's got Mark of Tzeentch for the casting ability. Only need to be level 3 because as long as you take lore familiar and you're level 3, it's basically, you get all the spells you need. But he's going to take power scrolls, right? So he can actually cast the spells even with his +3 to cast from Tzeentch and being level 2. Still wants to actually, try to ensure he gets the spell off, especially with something like Demonology, where you want to try to get Demonic Vestal off right before you charge or something. Spell Familiar. Oh yeah, so you guys have 4 spells. Yay, Chaos.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning two things to
Yeah.
point out as we're going through this. I'm just going to mention them once. We're not going to keep repeating this, but in a 1,500, because you're constructing a 1,500 point list, that means no single unit or character can be more than 375 points by the match play guide rules, which is what we're doing, right? So no 500 point characters bring to this event. There are, again, a couple of discrepancies here or there where somebody's a couple points over, and we're working on getting those resolved. Please don't stress over that. But also, you can't take a level 4 wizard in a 1,500 point game. You are restricted army construction to level 3, just in case anyone was curious. So I'm going to say that once, not going to repeat it again. And if you see any discrepancies, don't worry. The community, the people attending the event, we're already working on getting those hammered out. So let's just focus on the cool combos that these players are bringing.
Yeah. So he's also got a Chaos Lord with Great Weapon, Full Plate, Shield, Mercurius Undivided. So he can still be joined the unit even though he's not Mark of Tzeentch. He doesn't need to buy Mark of Tzeentch for no reason. He's the general. He's on a steed. So again, not a demonic mount, but that's mostly so you can still fit into the cavalry unit because your base size would be messed up if you were on a demonic mount. You couldn't really be on anything that's like a 30 by 60 or 60 mil deep. You'd be on the corner. And being on the corner of your unit is terrible when you're like a 6 attack Chaos Lord only getting to make 1 because you're not in base to base contact. So not worth it, right? He's got the Crown of Everlasting Conquest. So he has a regen save. So again, I mean, you have like a 2+ save, armor save, and then 5 up for regen and ward save on this guy. So even though there's only 4 wounds, he's still going to be a very scary dude in this kind of event where there is no character out there who's more than 375 points, or there's not supposed to be. Favors of the Gods, great. You can just be really, really reliable with your Gaze of the Gods. I mean, me, when I play Beastman, I just have to risk it, but, whatever. To each his own. Um, Paymaster's coin, that's interesting. So he just wants to have that one turn where he gets to re-roll. So I think the main goal here is for the Demonology guy to get some spells off to make the Chaos Lord hit even harder, especially when he goes into a challenge. And he's got both
Yeah.
Diabolic Splendor on the Wizard, so that's the -1 to hit in the shooting phase. So very good for getting shot at by Dragonfire bombs and such like that. If you just make them have a harder time hitting you, it really, really helps. And I think the -1 to hit from any kind of shooting
It
bonus is
skews the
going to
math a
be
lot, quite a bit, just
yeah,
taking that -1. And there are lanterns at the event. We're only going to cover one of the teams today that is bringing
yeah.
Sky Lanterns because we don't want to just keep repeating the same list. So we intentionally are picking what we think are really cool, interesting, different lists to show some cool variety out there. But one of the lists we'll get to will have lanterns.
Yeah, and he also has the Enchanting Aura on the Chaos Lord, so he makes whoever we're in combat with also be strikes last. So as long as he charges in there, he's going to swing first with a Great Weapon Chaos Lord anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then he still has that ability to grind out the combat. He's got 9 Chaos Knights, so a big unit of Chaos Knights with
Love it.
MR2. Icon of Darkness is I'm sure, I'm pretty sure, because I know Leo, it's probably another -1 to hit from shooting banners, so
It
you can
is.
stack those
Yep.
together. And then you got the
You
Brazen
can.
Collar for magic resistance. So he's got a Chaos Knight unit with 2 characters in it that is almost impossible to stop with magic, almost impossible to stop with shooting.
And it's interesting that and already they're having the Marquezine gives you the magic resistance 1, but instead he decided he wanted to up it for that brazen collar to get you magic resistance 2. So that it's a lot of defensive combos. Now, none of these things are going to help you versus a cannon, but definitely will help you if things have ballistic skill or trying to get spells targeting you. Magic missiles also wouldn't help you versus a vortex, but still, in terms of for cost efficient defense, brazen collar pretty cheap. What is that? 20, 25 points. Icon Darkness 20, 25 points.
Yeah.
Right. These are very cost effective defensive mechanics for an expensive unit.
If it saves you a single knight from dying, it's worth it, right? Because these upgrades are less than 1 knight's cost, pretty much.
Yeah, because a single knight, a fully decked out knight, will be in that 30 plus range typically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 5 Marauder Horsemen. These guys are some of the best units in the game for I'm going to control an objective, I'm going to flank somebody, I'm going to screen someone, I'm going to run them down when they flee, I'm going to disrupt them by charging them in the flanks, I'm going to go destroy baggage train. Light cavalry in core is just incredible, even if they do no damage. Like you can just have Goblin Wolf Riders are some of the best units in the game for just utility units nowadays. So very good. Makes sense.
I love Marauder Horsemen. They are just a great utility unit. I would personally recommend you take 6 to 7 of them. So because if you lose one, suddenly your ability to contest or deal with objectives is neutered, and they have very little defense. But their mobility off the charts, and I love what they can bring to the table.
And he's got some Warhounds for again, kind of like screening and blocking and protecting
30
against
bumps,
shooting.
30-point speed
Yeah.
bump. It's a great cost. One of the most cost-effective speed bumps in the entire game for how fast it can move.
Yeah. Then we have a Warpfire Dragon. Warpfire Dragons are probably going to show up all over at this doubles event because the points limit is 375 for a single unit or character. So Warpfire Dragon being just under that cap while still being a toughness 6, 6 wound, triple save guy is pretty goddamn scary, I think. So again, this list is all speed, it's all hammer, it's all can focus all of its force in a very narrow part of the table. And his teammate is playing dwarves, so he's got the hammer, and the dwarves are the anvil. At least that's kind of what I'm imagining.
That's the theory. Now the Warfire Dragon, I wouldn't say it's everywhere. We do have 2 Warriors of Chaos players.
Okay.
Out of 32 players, they both did take a Warfire Dragon. I would also take a Warpfire Dragon if I was playing Warriors of Chaos. So
it's pretty annoyingly
it's pretty good. Well, again, it's not the most powerful dragon, but again, because you're playing at this different point limit, suddenly not having to face that Chaos Lord on a dragon or a 500-point High Elf Lord on a dragon, suddenly for a 375-point dragon, right, its stocks in terms of its alpha predator status definitely goes up. I think the only thing in 375 points that I think is definitely more powerful than that is the Black Orc War Boss and the Wyvern combo, but the Warfire Dragon is a very strong contender.
Okay, so in the dwarf list, we have royal clans, so good for just kind of like a melee dwarf army. You can always get that at +1 strength when they pursue or they, get the charge off. We have a king. Now, I don't think this is the super default king build because we've got Master and Agromal for like the 2-up armor save. The Rune of Preservation so that you basically just don't die. That keeps you from getting killing blown or multi-wounded. Rune of Striking is like +1 to hit, I think, and Fury is extra attack. So we're not doing D6 damage. So. I don't know if you can fit the D6 damage rune for the points. But you just get a lot of attacks, so it's good for grinding. He's not necessarily trying to kit himself out to fight star dragons in challenges because there aren't going to be any of those. You can't buy them at this points level. So he's probably just
Yep.
I need to fight things like Graveguard and I need to kill as many of those as I can. So I don't need D6 damage. I need 7 attacks if I can get it right.
Or things like big bricks of chaos knights, right? So it's
Yeah,
exactly right.
the
Yeah.
inverse. The
Yeah.
Runesmith here has the Master Rune of Calm, which is incredibly a good ability. For people who don't know, it's a bound spell, reigns in play, and makes it hard for other people to get their spells off. Basically, like drain magic
Hmm.
and high magic.
Hmm.
Rune of Passage, so that the unit that they're in doesn't only move 2 inches a turn, which would be terrible. And he's the BSB. Oh, the Runesmith can be. I always forget the Runesmith can be a BSB in this list. That's interesting. Okay, so he's got
That's
the
the
Master
Royal
Rune.
Clan. I believe that's Royal Clan specific.
You're right, right. And then we have the Thane here. So obviously the BSB in every single dwarf list takes Master Rune of Brungni because that just gives your unit the 5-up ward save and gives you the anvil-like ability that you tend to want to have.
It's just so good. It's
Right.
it's quite frankly an auto take. You can't there. It's just so much better than everything else.
Yep. I'm not at all jealous. Okay. We have a Thane here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Full
Here's
plate
here's
armor.
a big unit. I'm just going to give the whole unit a 5-up ward save. Well,
Yeah.
put that in my list.
It makes it really hard to
Absolutely.
lose combat, even if you're trying, because you just won't take enough damage and your static combat res is so high, you'll just win.
Yep.
So,
But the
yeah.
challenge, of course, is getting the enemy to engage with you. But the counter to that is having objectives that matter. And basically, they're going to go towards the objective they want, and they're going to sit on that, and they're going to say, "This is our objective. You can come try and take it if you want, but it's going to be really, really hard to move." So you might want to focus on the other part of the list because it's going to be really hard to dislodge that unit.
Okay, so we also have a Thane with basically the machine gun ability. Everyone thought this
It's
was
so cool.
incredibly scary, always hitting on 3+. Every hit turns into, is it D3 or 2D3? I forget. But anyway, the number of hits you do with this Thane, cool. Every single Sky Lantern Dragonfire bomb is basically one of these guys, so that's fine.
Mhm.
No
Yeah, it's
comment.
it's 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 awesome. I love it. It's fun. It's thematic. It is by no means OP. Have I seen it in any game? But it sure is fun to just put in your list and hope you're going to roll those sixes.
Yeah, and then we've got Longbeards. Longbeards, incredibly good core unit. I mean, even though they're 14
Mhm.
points each, just being able to have heavy armor and shield in this edition as an infantry unit is incredibly good. And then you have the great weapon as the backup. So you can either say, hey, you charge me, I really need to not take damage. I get the 3-up armor save with strength 4 attacks. So we have Rune of Passage on this guy too. So maybe that's just because he doesn't know whether he's going to join the Longbeards or not. And either way,
Mhm.
you definitely want to just be able to actually, move across the table. So Rune
It
of
doesn't
Passage is
cost that many
almost,
points.
yeah. So it's 5 points, and so it's almost like you kind of just put it on basically everybody if you can. We have Rune
I
of
wonder, does
Courage.
everyone in the unit have to have Rune of Passage, or
No,
does
it's
it
just
trend?
one guy has to buy it, and the whole
Okay,
unit gets the
okay.
bonus. But it's just that you really
So
need the
he's
unit
just
not
spreading it
to.
around.
Yeah, you need the unit to not have it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, for 5 points, I mean, it's kind of like, of course, you should take it for 5 points.
Rune of Courage to help you with the fear terror stuff and battle for combat res. It's basically like the rune
Hmm.
of War Banner. If people are
Yep.
unknown about that. And then we also have Royal Clan Warriors, who I think are really cool. I really like the Royal Clan Warriors. They either have the Grommel Great Axes for AP3 attacks, or they have Hand Whip and Shield for like the 3+ armor save, and they get to have Stubborn
Hmm.
and Shield Wall. So again,
Hmm.
I just think Royal Clan Warriors are like a really neat unit, and they're pretty cost effective. So if you're just
At
trying to have
219
anvils,
points, that's pretty cheap to say here's an objective and we're going to sit on it.
yeah, you just have to
That's a
actually
pretty
get
cost
there
effective unit.
first.
Yeah, well, they can march, right? It's a six
Yeah.
turn game, Evan. 6 turn game, sir. It does help if you go
See if they
first.
make it across the table. Okay, then we have Iron Drakes with Drake guns. Now, a lot of people drop the Trollhammer torpedoes because they nerf the strength from 8 to 3 or 8 to 5, which is heinous. Heinous, I would
But
say.
5 is still good. But yes, when you're used to eating steak and suddenly all you get is a hot dog, I get it. Not quite the
It's a little
same.
bit insulting, Mike, to drop the strength of a Trollhammer torpedo and then release the one unit in the game that really would get killed by Trollhammer torpedoes, which is the Sky Lanterns.
Well, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But let's not make this entire video about comparing everything in the entire
Oh,
game to Sky
yes, of
Lanterns.
course. We can't do that.
We know they are powerful.
Mhm.
We know that the community, not just our community, has been, pleading to GW to please update the rules on them. I'm confident they will. We just
Yeah,
don't know how
for
long
sure.
it's going to be before they address it. It wouldn't surprise me if they just waited a hell of months before they address it. I know the community, including ours, would prefer they addressed it sooner than that. But I think that is very likely what they're going to do. They're going to wait 6 months before they address it.
So basically, yeah, we've got Iron Drakes. They have Stubborn, So Iron Drakes with Stubborn, incredible as just guys
Great.
who. I mean, this unit, this army, and you only have 4 or 5 turns in a doubles game where you just have so much stuff on the table. It might be pretty hard to actually to get any victory points out of this side of the list. Where in the meantime, this side of the list just hits you so damn hard. It's going to be really hard to not lose some units in your army to some
So
of
what do
this
you think their
stuff.
strategy is, Evan? So like comboing, so we know these lists now. We're familiar with dwarf tactics and
Yeah,
Warriors of Chaos tactics. What do you think is there going to be their Leo and David strategy going into games?
I mean, essentially, it's that Leo is going to try to focus his entire army on basically like a 12-inch wide frontage of the battlefield, driving it
Hmm.
like a spear directly into the enemy lines. Where the dwarves spread out, they grab the whatever objective is currently in play on the table. They try to block or to kind of hold up the enemy units that would be similarly trying to do the
Hmm.
same things. And these dwarf units would be, you know, more cost effective and survivable than, for example, Chaos Warriors would be if you had 3,000
For
point Wars
sure.
Chaos list. Longbeards are just cheaper and more durable than the equivalent type of unit as
Yep.
if it was Wars of Chaos with a great weapon, shield, heavy armor, because they would be like 18 points each without stubborn and shield wall and stuff. So they would
Well,
just
just having the runic grungy just inherently
yeah,
just takes them
exactly.
over that edge. So now they did call their army or team Oktober. I am curious if they're planning the Warriors of Chaos, if their general strategy is to go on two flanks, having the knights and the character on one side, the warp dragon on the other, or whether they're trying to really put the dwarves in the center and really overload on one flank. And that might be dependent on game to game or the terrain or their scenario that they're playing. But I think their team name kind of indicates what they're probably planning to do.
Yeah, so I mean, I imagine their strategy is essentially just dwarves are the anvil, Leo's
Hmm.
force is the hammer. How can they deploy and move around during the battle to make those things happen?
Hmm.
I'd love to see it. I would. I'm unsure exactly how well this will do into more like a full gun line if the other team is both, double shooting. I don't know, but we'll definitely find out.
Yeah, and it will of course depend on the terrain and such. But we also know Leo is a very good player,
Yeah.
and I believe David is as well too. So I'll be curious to see can they will they be able to deploy their tactics again? This is new. Like nobody in our community has played a doubles event of the old world. I don't know how many people across the world have played a doubles event of old. So we are all in for a wild ride of like we think what we know is going to happen, but none of us truly know, and this is new territory, which makes it very exciting. But let's go on to our next pair. This is one that Evan, you were really excited about. So who do we have next? Let's look up their team name.
Yeah. So
It's Greg, right?
so
Team
Greg.
Seven. Oh, very exciting name. Team Seven. Looks like Greg and Zach need a team name. So hopefully after they watch the video, they will go and update with an exciting team name. But Greg and Zach, what did they bring?
So we have Vampire Counts and Tomb Kings, classic. They're not mortal
Ooh.
enemies or anything, but basically we've got the Dry and the Wet Undead, and I imagine that what we're going to see is a lot of the kind of area of effect buffs that you can get from Tomb Kings being able to be applied to the more focused single unit nightmare units that you see in Vampire Counts, and that combo is very scary, and even against shooting, not like kind of can be a big threat. So let's look at the Vampire Counts list first. So Greg, he's a very good player. He's got a Master
Hmm.
Necromancer on a Mortis engine. I mean, I think this is just a good combo because, yeah, I mean, you are limited though with only 375 points to spend. You either
It
have to take
does.
a Talisman of Protection or the Scepter of Daenaro. You can't take both. So
Correct, because
he's got,
typically this build
yeah,
would be 400 points or a little bit above 400 points, but
yeah,
he's hovering at 370 because you can't go above 375. So it's not the whole build that you would typically see in a 2,000 point list.
yeah. So he's got a level 3, but would have Spell Familiar. So he has 4 spells from Necromancy with Talisman of Protection. So he has triple save, general on a Morse engine, but not all of the sugar and spice because there is no Scepter of Daenaro here. And again, because of the quirks of the match play guide, the grand melee restrictions means that at 1,500 points, you can only take one level
Hmm.
3. As soon as you get
Hmm.
2,000, you get to have 2 level 3s and a level 4. So it triples the number of high level wizards you get at 2K, and it drops down to only one at 1,500, which I felt was like really weird. But anyway, you can
Yeah.
only have one of these guys, and he's putting his general on this one on
But he also only has the
Morse engine.
Talisman of Protection, so he only has
Yeah,
that 5 up ward save. So it has, the Mortis Engine has that Heavy Chariot 4 armor save, inherently the regen of the character 5 up. But
yeah,
normally you'd want to see the Crown of the Damned or Commander, whatever it is here, where you get the 4 regen you typically put on this, but you have to be careful not to fail the stupidity test. But he doesn't have that. He couldn't afford that. He only has the talisman
So he
protection.
could have, because it's 35 points instead of 30, but you don't want to be stupid with your caster anymore because of how much they nerfed stupidity. It basically just made that one item like untakeably bad.
Well, yeah, before what would happen if you failed stupidity, you
Right.
just bump into the zombies in front of you and like, who cares? It didn't matter. But now you fail that stupidity and oops, you can cast 0 spells this entire turn. Holy crap, that would be a problem. So I think you're right, Evan. He made the choice of let's not fail a stupidity test, and let's just take a ward save that's not as strong.
So he's got a BSB here with the standard that gives you reserve move. That's pretty cool. Crown of the Damned, which is the ward save one. That's the ward save one, right?
No, Crown of the this is the, I believe this is the one where it gives the unit the weapon skill
That's
if it passes
Crown
the
of
leadership
Command,
test.
isn't it?
I
The
will look it
Vampire
up. Keep
Counts
talking.
items are a bit weird, right? I'm pretty
I
sure
haven't
this
played
is the ward
vampires
save
in a
one.
while.
Yeah, so we have a Banshee,
going.
because of the whole 1,500 points thing, you can only take one Banshee, so it's only 0 to 1 per 1,000, so you can't take 2, which is
That's
interesting.
correct. You can't take 2.
Okay, so he has the Scepter Dinner on a level 1 guy, but again, it's only a level 1 guy, so he can only heal, for example, like, 1 plus D3 Graveguard, twice instead of 4 plus D3 Graveguard. So
it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does. It's also very, very good to just do I want to give the Mortis Engine guy 1 more wound, because it's only 1 no matter what level you are, so that's always fine.
Correct. Yeah. And it's easier to, that's right. Okay, almost to the magic items here.
We got
okay, magic items. Okay, the Crown Helm of Commandment is the one that allows you to get the extra
weapon skill.
Weapon skill, and the Crown of, which one was it?
Crown of the Damned.
Crown of the Damned is that's the 35 point. That is the ward save. So he still took the ward save, but he put it on the White Lord.
Yeah, so maybe that's mostly because his Graveguard can just kind of chill. I mean, even if they're only like leadership 8 from their general, and they have a reroll with their BSB for the stupidity test, if they fail it, that's nowhere near as bad as if the general fails it. Because if the general fails it, he doesn't cast spells. If this unit fails it, they just sit there.
It's not the end of the world, right? And if they're in combat, they'll still fight.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we have Implacable Defense for like basically not giving ground once per game, and having Drakenhof Banner for the regen save with 24 Graveguard. So basically, this Graveguard unit is almost as big as it is in a normal 2K game, so it's still pretty strong. Got a bunch of zombie units. I mean, can you beat how cost-effective zombies are? Especially with, his level 1 guy will be adding 2 plus 2d3 of them back per turn, so you can just start adding nowhere near as many as normal, but yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love zombies and it's great, but at the same time, I've played many games where 2 big beefy units slam into a 40-man zombie unit and still wipe it out with Crumble in 1 turn. Yeah. So they are absolutely vulnerable. But if you're playing the game of attrition and you can avoid 2 super strong units hitting you, if only 1 strong unit hits you, you can usually hold your ground for a couple rounds of combat before you totally wither away.
All right, so we also have a Terrorgeist. So again, he does have 1 Banshee for 1 Scream there and 1 Terrorgeist. So he kind of has 2.
You're forgetting the 3rd Scream.
From the Mortis Engine. Then there's 3 total.
There you go.
That's pretty good.
3 Screams.
Yeah.
Everyone forgets the Mortis Engine Screams.
Yeah. Okay. So, pretty good. I think this is a pretty good list. Let's see what the Tomb Kings have to help them out. Because the Tomb Kings, for example...
No Vampire, though, right? He didn't take any Vampire.
Yeah. Yeah, but Mike, that's not news, though, because the Vampire in the Vampire Counts is, like, unemployed.
I disagree. I love my Vampire on a Zombie Dragon, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah, but Mike, how many points is a Vampire on a Zombie Dragon?
Let's not talk about that.
Well, Mike, a Vampire with no items, no armor, no spell casting ability whatsoever on a Zombie Dragon is exactly 375 points. And so he would be able to find nothing, so...
well, you gotta hope you get that flank charge in. Hopefully they won't see you coming.
He's just hitting with his hands. He's like,
well, you got a hand. Yeah, you're not wrong. But anyway, really cool list, though. I think Greg made some very tactical choices. I think it's a very strong list, in particular because it's only half the list. So let's look at the synergy or the combos that they're trying to pull off with, because clearly that was a hold your ground list with Graveguard and zombies. They're like, we are here to control the table. So what did he pair up with the Tomb King side?
Well, you're gonna have to do more Googling because we have a High Priest with the Staff of Awakening, and I've never heard of that item before in my life. So, Elementalism.
Okay.
So that has to be the Hierophant then, because he's the highest level, right?
Mhm.
Then we have the Mortuary Priest level 2, more Elementalism with Amulet of Serpent to give a unit poison attacks. Royal Herald, so you have a BSB for your rerolls of your regen. So I really think that they're basically going for a relatively survivable list. I will say, if I'm going to criticize Greg's list, I would probably rather have the level 3 Necromancer with Scepter de Naro be on foot and then just put the level 1 guy on a Mortis engine. So you still have a Mortis engine, but you just have it be the not general, so he can just hang out, and even if he dies, he doesn't make your whole army die, right? And over here, we have a similar type of thing where we have the lower level wizards who are doing the more buffing ability, like Amulet of Serpent, the BSB for rerolling stuff, and a Tomb Prince, because you technically kind of have to have at least one. This is Grand Army, so you have to have at least one of the Tomb Prince or King here, and he's kind of the quote unquote general with a 5-up armor, 5-up ward save, and a great weapon. So he's just kind of a regular old fighty dude. And we have a ton of infantry, which in the Tomb King's case is amazing. I think it's very, very useful to bring that. We have a massive number of archers. I'm sure we're going to get poison on the archers because it still makes sense to do that. Even if it got massively nerfed, it doesn't matter. The things that were really, really good before are the things that are, okay now. Whereas things like the skinks and the Hagbane tip archers are the things that are now just terribly bad. So 36 skeleton archers with poison, still fine. Definitely fine.
All right, Staff of Awakening, 50 points. It's from the Arcane Journal. High Priest only. When the wielder of the Staff of Awakening uses Arise, special rule on a friendly unit whose troop type is infantry or cavalry, the unit recovers. So it has to be unit. It doesn't work on monsters or behemoths. A unit recovers an additional D3 wounds. So more
skeletons coming back to life.
Yep. So it's not quite the same as the vampire one, where you basically get to use it twice, but you get to do D3. So both are good in different ways. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think the interesting thing here is the comboing of the attrition between these two lists. Now, here's one thing I'm really interested about with. So normally, when you're playing an undead list, you're really trying to protect your effectively general or hierophant or whoever so your army doesn't crumble. Right now, normally in a 2,000 point game, you can protect that character reasonably well, right? But now that we're playing in a doubles event where there's 3,000 points, they have two characters that could potentially start crumbling, but there are two characters in 1,500 point lists. So I am curious, while there's a lot of benefits to taking two undead armies, the only two that exist to combo together, are they more vulnerable by having two characters that potentially are less defense tooled up and could be more targeted by 3,000 points on the enemy side, or maybe not? That is something I'm curious to see how that plays out. I think we're going to see at least one of their general dies, perhaps once a game, if not, not necessarily both. And how will that play? Because normally when you're playing a game, they're good at protecting their characters so the army doesn't crumble, right? But that might be a lot more challenging in this type of environment. What do you think?
Um, I see what you're saying because now there's two guys to protect, but there's also
Yep.
more units to protect them with, and these are a ton of infantry units that are pretty hard to actually physically move out of the way. The Mortis engine can sometimes be a little bit more vulnerable because you can shoot at it and it's a large target, which is one of the reasons why I actually don't like it. I don't think it's that great. Now, one of the things I just realized is I'm pretty sure the Mortis engine's ability to give bonus to cast will work on all the Tomb Kings because it actually works on your enemies too. It just works on everybody. Everyone within range can get +1 to cast. So his Mortis engine guy can affect all of the Tomb King's casters, which is bonkers. And as well, the Casket of Souls gives +1 to cast. So all the Tomb King's wizards are getting an additional +2. So one from the Mortis engine and one from the Casket of Souls. Ouch.
Mm-hmm. That's really powerful, but you also have to be next to them in order to get the benefits of that. So
you have to be within
it is
18
definitely
inches of either of them to have that bonus. It's pretty,
right.
pretty good.
But it is a good range. Don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
we are playing on the 4 foot by 6 foot boards, and the objectives in every scenario we have objectives or different things that are fairly spaced out. Like you won't not. It will be very hard to cover more than one objective with this play. So I'd be curious to see how that with both of those. But also remember, the Mortis engine has the downside. If you miscast, you're rolling twice. So high risk, high reward.
Yeah, which is definitely a reason to potentially see taking the 5-point arcane item that lets you reroll a miscast result. We have Tomb Guard, hand weapon shield, so just being another incredibly durable parry save unit. Skeleton Warrior is also another durable parry save unit, so 4-up over here for these, but different toughnesses basically, right? And then Screaming Skull Catapult for shooting, and Casket of Souls for Mike. Lighted Protection just works on your allies, so like all of those Graveguard are gonna be like -1 to hit most of the time. Like,
Yeah, but also they typically start at weapon skill 3 as well. So
yeah,
typically, the elite of the other army is going to be weapon skill 4 or higher, unless you get your spells off to increase your weapon skill. So often you'll be hitting them on threes. But so I would say the more likely scenario is you're hitting them on threes will go to hitting them on fours.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I would have liked to see the Helm of Commandment for the additional weapon skill for those Graveguard, because if you have a weapon skill 4 or 5 unit that has the Casket of
And
Souls buffing
then
them,
minus,
it's
yeah.
yeah, nuts.
Now that's a pretty brutal combo, but that's not the choice they
Right,
went with. Now, again, maybe they're not trying to get the light off. Maybe they're trying to use it as another scream attack to add to their list, right? It's
pretty
what their
much.
tactics are. There's a lot of durability, honestly, between these two lists, though. It definitely feels like they're trying to win by attrition. It feels like they're trying to control the table, control the objectives, and then focus fire on different things. And hopefully, they have enough heavy bricks and large bricks that they can weather anything enough that charges them. That will be interesting to see
Yeah,
if it actually
and pretty
works out
much
that
if
way.
any of these infantry units doesn't die in one turn, it's going to get a lot of healing back because of the sheer number of guys who can re-roll their healing arise ability with the staff that does wind, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
a lot of healing, right?
Yeah, but keep in mind, we also have larger armies. Effectively, it's 3,000 points per side. That means there's going to be more things punching things, more things shooting things than you would in a 2,000 versus 2,000 point game. So that is, again, and this is not a doubles thing. This is just a larger points game thing. So the question is, in this larger points of the game, because they also can't heal each other's units, they're only healing their own units. So if the enemy chooses to focus fire one army, suddenly that's more than 2,000 points worth of output. So can their opponents win the
Survive.
attrition war? Because again, if my Graveguard are getting punished on my Vampire Counts list, and you hit them with the lanterns, or you hit them with the cannons, and then you charge them with something, right? Because you're focusing on them. Your Tomb King Mortuary Priests aren't going to be able to heal my Graveguard, right? Only my units are going to be able to heal my Graveguard. So it will be interesting to see whether they're able to control the table enough to prevent that from happening, or if their opponents will be keen enough or have strong enough positioning in order to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this is definitely just I'm gonna try to out survive you, do a couple screams, and if we ever get into combat and you're like something like elves, you're just gonna lose the war of attrition. If
Mhm.
you have the dwarves and maybe something like jade warriors, maybe you have enough wounds or enough armor to survive this kind of combat attack. But you just fight
Maybe.
enough rounds of combat in a row with a bunch of these units together, you could just grind through all of it, right?
True, but also in general, the army doesn't have neither army, even the Graveguard, don't have tons of armor. You're not seeing a bunch of full plate over there. You're not seeing a whole bunch of units with ward saves over there. So suddenly, right, if we're looking at armies that are comboing a lot of artillery with some Cathay lanterns or other things, there are quite a few artillery lists out there.
Yeah,
Can they
like this
weather the
one.
storm? Can they weather the storm of that much artillery? I don't know that they can. We'll see what happens.
So last group up, we got the Joseph, and he's playing Cathay with Tyler, who's got High Elf. So we'll talk about those. These are nowhere near as complicated. Basically, we've got Lord Magistrate with Dragonfire Bombs on a Sky Lantern. He's got the item that gives you a 5-up ward save, but also occasionally you get hurt when you try to hurt him or whatever.
So
And
if we
then,
don't get too far, right?
yeah,
Joseph and Tyler, their
yeah,
their their team name is CNC. Is that Command and Control? Is that Command and Conquer? What do you think CNC is? Or
crush the
is it
hopes and dreams of your enemies.
maybe both? I don't know. So they're teaming up. Really good players
Yeah,
who are getting are very good. So we're specifically looking at their list. They brought what we believe is a very competitive list, and it's a fairly skew list. So the question is, will they be able to maximize this? Will the terrain, will the scenarios allow them to bring the full firepower? I am also curious if they fight in mirror matches where someone else on the other side has as much firepower, how that will shake out. We don't really know. But anyway, so we're starting with Joseph's list. We wanted to at least cover one of the Cathay lists, right? We didn't want to cover them a whole bunch of them because they're fairly similar.
yeah. So over here we've got a Lord Magistrate. He's got a 5-up ward save, and he's got a baby. Moshard is basically like a baby infernal puppet, where like if you roll doubles on the cast, it's a miscast, whatever. I mean, I've played against somebody who had that. Never actually occurred. In my army, my list this game has no wizards in it at all, so whatever. Then we've got 30 Jade Warriors who have shields, stubborn, full command. The guy's got a burning blade for his guy, probably so that if someone charges like a tomb banshee at him, he could probably swing at him a little bit. and then he has the Shield and Nangao for a little bit of a protection for that champion as well. Icon of Heavenly Fury is the you don't get to fly for a turn banner, and I don't even have to take a leadership test or anything. It just happens, which is rude. It's funny how they nerfed all of the you don't get to fly, and you could do it 6 turns of the game or whatever. They nerfed all of those to only once per game, and then the item that Cathay has is just once per game that automatically works, which is great.
Yeah, even better. But at least it's only once per game, and it is worth. Again, those who are paying attention, yes, it is 3 points over. I've already reached out to Joseph. He'll probably be a 29-man unit of Jade Warriors.
Or you
So
could
don't
just
worry
not take
about
a
it.
burning blade. Do you really need that? If
there are multiple options, up to him. So
yeah, if the ethereal guy charges you, just win on combat res, right? Okay.
All right, moving on.
So then we have 3 Cathay cannons. Now only 2 of them have loaders. That's probably a points thing, but whatever. Still, you could fire up to 5 shots in the first turn, which is just absolutely heinous. Especially for example, if this player is playing against Greg's list, if Greg leaves his Mortis Engine General somewhere where it can get hit with 5 cannon shots in 1 turn, it might just die to just that.
It only has a 5 up board save. It absolutely can die to that. A lot easier than you think. Especially because remember also regeneration now, it's not just make a regen, ignore all of them. So on average, when you are taking wounds, you will regenerate a third of those wounds rather than I have a 33rd chance to ignore all
just
of them.
Ignore the entire cannonball.
More wounds are going to go through inherently because of that.
All right, then he has 2 Sky Lanterns with more Dragonfire Bombs. So again, you've got 3 Sky Lanterns with Dragonfire Bombs. When you have those, and I mean, he has the bombing run, right? Am I missing something? Did he buy the bombing runs? Because the bombing runs is incredibly good. It must just not be on because he used New Recruit. I could tell because
I have to check.
Because you see how there's this 2 next to this, so I know he used New Recruit, and it can sometimes not show everything that's in their list, especially when this compact format. So I'm assuming he has the bombing runs. That is pretty scary, especially to infantry. If you just do the bombing run to the same unit with multiple lanterns, it really just can wipe out entire units of 30 plus toughness 4 guys. So it's crazy. And he's teaming up with Tyler. So Tyler has High Elves, and he has a dragon because he took the Blood of Calidor on a noble and brought a Sun Dragon. So he has a triple save 3+, 5+5+5+ dragon, but it is strength 5 with only 5 attacks instead of 7. So, it's fine. It's definitely a dragon. It's probably roughly similar to a wyvern, except the guy on the back of it isn't as good as a black orc, right?
It definitely not as. I mean, that's a pretty big difference. I mean, the Sun Dragon is definitely substantially better than a wyvern. Don't get me wrong. I love my wyvern. The Sun Dragon is better. But yeah, an elf it's nowhere near a black orc boss with full plate armor and a great weapon. And then you give him a ward save or troll hide pants. That is a substantially more threatening character.
Yeah, and you can notice that the Cathay list has no wizards at all. And then we've got, don't worry guys, I have a wizard in the High Elf list. He's got Shadowstalker. Love that on a level 2. So Shadowstalker lets you have Scouts and Evasive on your wizard, which is really good for even if you're running solo, just to get to evade fireballs. So by just bouncing behind a unit before they shoot at you is really, really good.
Not level 3, Evan. He only went with the level 2. So that means he's only going to get +1 to his Dispel roll.
Yeah, but he has a Dispel. I don't know why you bought a Dispel scroll, bro, because the High Elves have the 35-point item that just automatically dispels in everything. But okay.
Maybe he didn't have the points.
Okay, well, it's just... Okay, well, not everyone plays the way I do, right? And then we have a noble here with a griffin. So he has 2 nobles on kind of medium-scale mounts, and guess what? You charge both of them at the same unit, and you can only challenge one, so now they just bash your face in, right?
Yeah, but again, that noble elf with a lance, the damage output from that character. This is not the same threat as a dragon that charges into you with a decked out character with a magic weapon. It's not nearly as much damage output. Right. So it's still good. Don't get me wrong, but honestly, dude, if those 2 things charge into the Graveguard unit, no problem, right? It's not a concern at all. It depends what they're charging, right? So, they are good, but it is not the same as 2 500-point characters or 2 400-point characters slamming into something.
Then he's got Illyrian Reapers. Again, what did I say about Fast Cavalry in core? So
really good.
These are our objective scoring guys. They can be pretty big problem to deal with when they just go, hey, I happen to be 18 inches away from that flag. So if you move away from it, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to run over there, and then I'm going to steal it from you, right?
Yep.
And you can just do that. Silver Helms. I mean, Silverhelms, I really don't like because they're just worse Empire Knights, and the only thing that's better about them is their initiative, but otherwise they're just bad. But like
Don't they move faster? Don't they have one more movement?
they have, yeah, but they don't have countercharge.
That's
So
true. It's a good
that's one
point.
of the things that I just ugh. And they still have a 3+ armor save on knights who are like 26 points each. It's like, yeah, that's not a lot when everything in the
Yeah,
game has AP2 now.
I get it because they're
But
really hovering in that. You want them to be more heavy cavalry, but they're not quite. But again, not most knights in the game don't have a 2-up armor save. Um,
mine do.
right? Those chaos, well, but most don't. Even the
Yeah,
chaos knights don't have a 2-up armor save.
but mine do.
There are some in the game that do. Well, but you have to work with what you got, sir.
All right. But you know what Empire doesn't have? A dragon and a griffin riding guy. Well, I mean, you could have
That's
griffins, but
right.
they don't have dragon. That's for sure. So we
Mhm.
have
And the
Shadow
lion chariots
Warriors.
are cool.
Yeah, so he probably bought ambush on these Shadow Warriors just so that if they're playing the baggage train mission, he can use them to say, "Hey, I'm going to show up here." You know,
Hmm.
if you're playing an army like a lot of people are, where they have no shooting at all, then I'm just going to walk onto your thing, and you're going to have to not be able to do anything about it, right? So that's a problem.
Yeah.
And then we
Well,
also
unless they
have
bring a skirmishing character or something that can hold back and can chase these things down. But again, a lot of people might not be thinking about that.
right, right, and then we have two lion chariots. Adorable. I think lion chariots are very very okay. They're fine.
They're
They're they're
fine.
they're
They're
just
fun.
not as good as a lot of the other chariots that exist in the game, but that's okay. But you know they're adorable and they do a decent amount of attacks. And Mike, every lion has two weapon skill 5 strength 4 attacks, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about the lions, of course, at the end of
Yeah.
the day. Cool list. Okay. So yeah, so that again, we do believe this is a very competitive list. Good luck to all of the players out there. Let's see where we at, sir. Did we go through our main lists?
Yeah, but you mentioned 2+ armor save knights, so we can look at my weird list real fast.
Okay, we got. Let's do it real quick. Let's just go
Yeah,
through
real
your
quick.
list.
Empire, Knights Panther, obviously led by Harold Gimonson because you have to. He is the Grandmaster of Knights Panther. Also, a Grandmaster is so overpriced that if you just have a Grandmaster on a horse with a lance, he's already 185 points. So it's like the only reason to take someone who isn't Harold is if you wanted to waste points on a really inefficient guy. We have
Well, with
Chapter
a name
Master.
like Harold Goodinson, you have to take him. I mean, that's an auto take right there.
So I have a Chapter Master who's on a Demigryph with no item except the Dragon Slayer sword. That's
Okay.
always, and basically he's just there to be like, do you really want to like risk sending that noble on a griffin who doesn't have a ward save other than Charm Shield anywhere near me?
Hmm.
Because what if I do roll a 6? Who knows? And we also have a Priest of Ulrich because yeah, I mean he has 3 bound spells because he can has his own prayer. He has twice blessed armor, which gives you hammer hand, and he has Ring of Tal, which gives you a ward save. And then in core, we have 7 Inner Circle Knights who get to have 2+ armor save. So I do have some guys who have a 2+ armor save and stubborn. They
It's
are
pretty
a
cool.
million points each for a guy who's toughness 3. Um, the only model in my whole army that doesn't have a 2+ armor save is the 4 Empire Knights Panther, because you have to take at least 1 unit of regular Empire Knights with a 3-up, so they're just 4 dudes. And then special, we've got 4 Demigryph Knights Panther, Lance Shield, Barding, whatever, with War Banner, because they always lose combat. And so I'm trying to make them not lose combat. And then I have Mercenaries, 7 Inner Circle Knights of the White Wolf, because you can have Mercenary Knights of the White Wolf with Knights Panther. Isn't that fun? And they also have Stubborn, Barding, and Witch Hunter's Ward for MR2. So people don't know, most of my army has a 2+ armor save. Knights Panther means you have hatred versus Warriors of Chaos, Beastmen, and Demons, which means you hate like a third of the armies in the game, which is pretty good. Pretty good.
That's exceptionally good. I don't think anything else has any.
No, that's a lot of things to hate.
Lot of hate.
Yeah,
Spewing a lot of hate there, Evan. Yeah.
and just like Leo's list, I have a whole bunch of knights who are, and at least in my case, they're drilled, unlike his. But I'm going to try to find a way to focus all of my force into like one narrow spot of the battlefield and just charge like 2-3 different units into one thing and smash them up. That's my
Okay,
goal.
and we don't have time to go over your partners list, but what are you pairing up with on your other side?
Yeah, my partner is Tomb Kings with a bunch of infantry, and he's got a Casket of Souls, which gives a bunch of units within 18 inches of -1 to hit. When that affects Empire Knights, that's pretty good. But to be honest, if it affects anybody who isn't a Tomb King, it's very, very good. So
Very exciting. All right, so let's do some. I know we haven't had time to really dive into the list at extreme ends, but high level predictions, Evan. We've never run a doubles event. We've never run 3,000 points. This will be new and exciting. It's great to see how many players are out there. Maybe not necessarily what list or what team do you think is going to win, but what do you think tactics or strategy, or do you think it's just going to be the lanterns are going to just blow everybody away, or do you think they're going to run into a whole bunch of mirror matches and they're going to get shot down and take each other, bump each other out? What are your predictions for the event? What do
So
you think?
first of all,
Now, ultimately, of course, best sportsmanship is the first and always our first top prize. They get to pick the first prize out of the prize pool, and then we go back and forth between general and sportsmanship. But for the sake of this video, we're talking about winning games. Who do you think is going to perform well?
I would really have to eat my hat if at least the winning team that gets the most victory or the most battle points at the event doesn't have one Cathay player in it. And there are 5 Cathay players, which means 5 of the 16 teams. So even if I was just rolling to die, that's already 1 in 3. That's the best bet you can make. But we've got 5 teams with Cathay. Every single team that has a Cathay player, the Cathay player has 3 Sky Lanterns.
Yep.
So
now, again, different communities out there have had different interpretations and different rulings on Sky Lanterns. A lot of communities globally have decided to limit it to 2 Sky Lanterns per their event. We haven't done that as of yet. It is possible. We always do our balance and restrictions based upon community feedback. It is possible after this event, the Old World Legends community will say we should adopt the 2 lantern restriction as other communities have as well. But we did not make that ruling going to this event. And so that's why we're at 3 versus many other communities that have gone with 2. So definitely a strong contender. We'll see how that works out. I'm not convinced that Cathay is going to win. I think there's a lot of really, really strong lists here. I do believe at 3,000 points, even with 3 lanterns, I think there's enough firepower and magic on the other sides that I think easily 2 lanterns can be shot down or killed in turn 1. And I think too many of the Cathay players are going to get too used to their 2,000 point games where they shove the lanterns in people's faces. And if they don't go first, which they're not going to half the time, I think we're going to see a lot of those Sky Lanterns crash to the ground. So I'm not exactly who is going to win. I will say out of all the people attending, I think Greg's team with and Zach with their Tomb King Vampire Count combo is a very, very interesting one. I think there's some other, I think Leo's list with Chaos War is also, and what else is he teaming up?
He's teaming up with the Royal Clan player.
The Royal Clan, I think that's another really interesting list, so we'll see what happens. We're not exactly sure, but we do know it's going to be one hell of a, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. All right, well,
all right.
If you guys enjoyed the video, you can always let us know with comments. Let us know what the kind of things you want to see in the future. And if you want to jump into these discussions and join our community, you can always join the Discord. It's in the link in the description of the video.
All right, any last closing words, sir?
Faith, Steel, and Bones is my team name. We didn't tell people that. But...
Very important. All right, we'll see you all next time after the event.
Stay legendary.